Welcome back to Atlanta and Company. I'm Tom Sullivan, your permanent host. Well, it's that time of year again. High school students and their parents are taking college tours across the country. If only the college tour included price tags on all the sites. College is expensive, no doubt about that. According to the Census Bureau, the average high school graduate earns $31,000, whereas the average college graduate earns nearly double that. So you can see the big difference there. This week, the shopping queen tells us how to get in and how to pay for college. That, you know, getting in is half the battle, but paying for it is the other side of the coin.
Exactly, but these days, both can be equally as tough, though. And
you recommend starting to fill out those applications right now, early?
Well, I would recommend for high school juniors to start early in their year to look at really all the different programs and all the different universities that they're interested in, because these days each program can have their own set of requirements and applications, so they really need to start doing their homework very early on in the process, and also cultivating relationships with the college advisors, really find an advocate for themselves there, because if you wait for your senior year, you can easily get overwhelmed with the mountains of paperwork and requirements and everything. So junior year is really when you want to start.
Wow, when you said junior year, I thought, wow, that's really early. I mean, a lot of juniors I know don't even want to think about it, you know? They just want to get in and wait till the senior year and then put it to the task. Now, you also mentioned networking. That's always big with you in any kind of arena.
Yes, because really that's where you get the insider information and the insider access. And in this particular case, I say network with young alums, because when you take the college campus tours, typically you get exposed to the students that are there, and they are a great resource that you can ask questions and get to know more about the campus. And at some other functions, you get to meet older alums from the college, but the real wisdom comes from the young alums, because they just graduated and they have all that insider information that they're willing to share. You know, for example, how much scholarship they got, financial aid. So their guard has dropped. They're willing to share that information, whereas the current students might be a little bit more guarded and not necessarily want to give out all that information.
That's a great point, because, you know, like someone trying to sell you a house, don't ask the people that are going to paint a rosy picture. Talk to the people who have lived it.
Exactly.
That's good advice. Another misconception you talked about is that people think, well, if I don't get into an out-of-state school, I can easily get into an in-state college.
Right, or if they're looking at private universities thinking the public university is going to be their backup school, that is really no longer the case. Especially in this economy, people are looking to save money, so they're opting to go towards the public schools, especially students that have very, very high grades that could easily get into private schools as well. And in Georgia, since you have the Hope Scholarship, it's even more reason for students to attempt to get into public schools. So you really cannot take the old advice from parents of, you know, use the state schools as your backup school, because I've actually heard of people that got into Emory but couldn't get into UGA.
Wow.
Yes, exactly.
You also say to pay for a tutor, not tuition.
Yes. Once again, if you get started early and really start planning out your college process in your junior year, you can help to adjust your grades still, because it's cheaper to pay for a tutor in high school and get those stellar grades and test scores on admission tests than to pay for college tuition, because those scores, those high test scores in high school, can lead to literally tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship and merit aid.
You're right. Good point on that one. And also, you mentioned aid and scholarship here. Talk about those.
Yes. Well, once again, getting started early and knowing what different options are available to you. A great website to start is finaid.org. That website lists literally thousands of different scholarship programs that are out there, all your different options that are out there, and learning more about what is available to you and being creative. There's different scholarships for where your parents might work, what field you might be going and looking into, everything ranging from Google has scholarships to even Coca-Cola has scholarships. So really look at all your different options and make sure that you're spending quite an amount of time looking at all the different programs that are out there.
Okay, and you also, you mentioned FINAID, F-I-N-A-I-D. Did you have another website perhaps that might be just as, because two websites?
That actually is the main source that you can start with, because they will lead you to all kinds of different websites. So not only does that tell you the different programs that's in its system, but it also has great resource links to other services as well.
Okay, good links there. You also have tips for parents and students when visiting campuses about bling isn't always a good thing.
Yes, college campuses have also fallen victim to what I call the keeping up with the Joneses syndrome. And they are spending millions of dollars blinging out their campuses with new dorms, new dining options, climbing walls, just to get students in the door. But students and parents should not fall for that new shiny bling and really look at what's underneath. For example, would you rather sit in a new classroom learning from a new TA or sit in an old classroom learning from an experienced professor with a PhD?
That's what I want.
So that's really what people should, kick the tires and look down deep in. Don't just fall victim of all the bling and all the shiny newness.
We talk about the shiny newness, the bling, then are you saying maybe what about high-profile schools? Not always the best bet.
Not always the best bet, especially in this day and age. It used to be that if you got into the Ivy Leagues or other prestigious schools, you were guaranteed, a top-notch job, great networking, but that's no longer the case. More and more studies are showing that the top Fortune 500 companies where their CEOs come from, more and more are coming from public universities rather than the Ivy Leagues. And that notion of the old boy network that existed before is very quickly eroding as well. There's so many other networks that you can become a part of and really boost yourself up that way, not necessarily just relying on your school. So that name, that cachet doesn't go as far. However, the tuition is higher than it's ever been, so you definitely do want to make sure you're balancing reality as far as where you're looking to go.
Well, a lot of great tips to help balance reality here, Fatima. Thank you so much. If you would like some of these wonderful tips to balance your reality and really put it all together, college savings tips, money tips, ideas, and even coupons, visit the Shopping Queen's website. It's shoppingqueen.com. All this rainy weather, we're